All right, everybody, how we doing? We are so thankful to have Miss Stephanie Thurmond here for our Teacher Tech Talk this week. We are just in a pleasure. She's one of our about to be TAP graduate. Yes, that's right. And she comes from Edmonds Elementary, and she is a first grade teacher over there. And when she showed me this presentation, guys, I was blown away. You're about to see some students, and the feedback of these students is absolutely amazing. So with further ado, here comes Stephanie Thurmond. Thank you, Ms. Thurmond.
Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate you guys tuning into this Teacher Tech Talk this week with me. So without further ado, let's proceed. This week, I wanted to focus on using FlipGrid, primarily with primary grades. I know a lot of upper class teachers use it in 3rd and 4th and 5th graders, but I wanted to kind of showcase you guys my take on how I use that in my classroom. So the objectives, well, not my classroom, my digital learning classroom. So the objectives for today for our Teacher Talk Tech, I want to establish how students use the technology, specifically FlipGrid. I want to show you guys how I use FlipGrid in my digital learning process. And I want to show you guys how digital resources, how we can use those digital resources and make them more parent and student friendly to gain more participation. And then I want to show you guys some videos and some effective feedback so that it allows you to see how I've created a positive learning environment inside the classroom and now that we're doing our virtual learning. So with primary grades and technology, I know the biggest hiccup with technology and the younger students is that it can be very challenging. Students are still learning their fine motor skills. They may not have had prior exposure to technology. So it becomes challenging. However, I think introducing technology to kindergarten and first graders is an excellent example to kind of get them prepared for the usage in 2nd grade and 3rd grade and so on and so forth. It does become rewarding once you get them into the swing of things, but it also requires an immense amount of patience and continuous routines throughout my classroom in general, my classroom management skills, and with the virtual learning platform. As long as you continue to review those routines and those expectations for students, then it becomes innate for them and they're able to do it easily. So some of the digital resources that I use in my learning sessions and my digital learning sessions, I use Google Meet, which we are using right now. We use those for our live lessons for each content area every day. My students use Google Classroom. And again, because my students are 6 and 7 years old, parents also have to kind of collaborate with myself to see those lesson plans. So on Google Classroom, I have my lesson plans there. I have the sign-off sheet for students and any other announcements I may have. I use FlipGrid for math and ELA, and I use BrainPop Junior for all content areas. I also use STEM Scopes, eSpark, and Mayan. And if you are a Clayton County Public Schools teacher, then you're familiar with most of these apps. So students and my parents, they access Google Classroom to find our 10-day lesson plan. Again, that if you see right here in the right corner, the content areas, we have Mondays are ELA, Tuesdays are social studies, Wednesdays are math, and Thursdays are science. So students log on to Google Classroom to find that lesson plan after they have visited the live session or the recording and they've completed the activities that are posted there. They then move on to the the assignment sign-off sheet. And the assignment sign-off sheet is very simple. It has the date there. They put their name and they also sign whether or not they were able to log on to iReady or Imagine Learning for my ESOL students, Mayan, eSpark, and those other applications. So after they have completed their assignments, they have signed up on the sign-off sheet, there's a process that I use to turn their assignments in. And that process is I use Google Drive. So how do students submit their work? Once they have visited the live session or the recording and they have completed their activities and they have signed off on our sign-off sheet, with the exception of STEM Scopes and BrainPop, those assignments are already embedded into my dashboard. So as soon as they complete the activity and press send, it comes on my end. However, ELA and math are more hands-on. They require more pencil to paper, manipulatives. So students are then able to take a picture with their phones or save it to their laptops and then drop it into their Google Drive. So I've created a system in my classroom where both parents and students, they work together to collaborate on the assignment. The parent more than likely is the one taking the picture or saving the document on their screen, and then they are able to drop it in their Google Drive. I've already created a digital learning folder for each of my students that has been active throughout this virtual learning process. And each student has their name on their folder. They just drop it in the folder. And inside each folder, there is a week that designate which week we're turning our work in. So it creates order in the midst of a lot of chaos. It prevents parents and students from sending me a lot of text messages or emails with their work. And so I have it there. And so parents and students know that I'm going to look into the folder, see your work. I'm going to see that you signed off on your work. And then I know to give that student credit for that activity. So using FlipGrid for math. All my math lessons, and I like to use FlipGrid for math and ELA because it allows students to really demonstrate what their understanding of the assignment and the standards and the tasks that they were being given. All my math lessons start off with some sort of video or a math movement or a mind game. I really particularly like Jack Hartman. If you all aren't familiar with his videos, he has a plethora of videos of math and ELA. So we work in dot arrangement, supertizing, all those different types of videos, and that gets the students really ready to learn. And so after the video or a story has been introduced, after we go through the I do, we do, students are then given their you do, their independent activity. And I usually use FlipGrid for either that independent work, a closing or informal assessment, or a ticket out the door. And again, that information is always, that information is going to always be in the lesson plan. As you can see here in the right bottom, I gave the FlipGrid link, and students, all they have to do is click the link and put in the password, and it sends them directly to the FlipGrid platform for them to do their assignment and their activity. So in the first couple of videos, the standard they were working on was adding and subtracting tens from a number between 10 and 90. We also worked on just simply adding and subtracting two-digit numbers from another two-digit number. So in this particular activity, students were tasked with creating their own equations. They needed to demonstrate an understanding of the standard and explain what strategy or strategies they were using to solve their equation. So let's take a look at that video.
Go. We'll be teaching how 10 times 22 equals 42. You see that 10, that one right here, and this 2 right here equals 3, because we all know 1 plus 2 equals 3. So, and we also know that the 0 don't mean nothing. So we just keep the 2 down up here, and then we bring it down here, and then we bring the 3 down here. So what's the answer? And that is 32. That's how you make 32. And bye.
Hi, Chloe. Good job working that problem out. I liked how you were able to tell me that you counted your 10s first and that you counted your 1s. And then you came up with your total. That's an excellent strategy to use to add your two-digit numbers in an equation. Great job. Keep up the good work. So with the feedback that I give the students, oftentimes I want to establish that I recognize what strategy that they use, and I also want to give them maybe a possible other suggestion of another strategy that they possibly use, but I give them all the autonomy that they possibly could have in their demonstrations. I only ask that They may use a whiteboard, they may use pencil and paper, they may use manipulatives, they may use cutout pieces. And you'll see in the next couple of videos how students are able to kind of gauge and use their surroundings around them to demonstrate their understanding of the standard.
I'm gonna just so I'm gonna use apples. What if I told you, do you want apples? You said yes. And I asked you, how many do you want? You said 10. So and I only have 20 apples. So I gave you 10 apples. How many apples am I gonna have left? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 20 minus 10 equals 10.
Hey, Mariani, great job showing me how to subtract 10 from 20 in your demonstration. You did an awesome job. Good job. Remember when you're working out those strategies to use when you're adding or subtracting, remember the number gets bigger sometimes. So sometimes if you had a problem like 50 minus 10, you would be able to draw 50 apples and scratch out 10 apples. But for a problem like this, that was a very excellent example to use. Just remember the other strategies that we talked about, like adding or subtracting the 10s from the ones, and excuse me, the 10s from the 10s and the ones from the ones. But I know that you did an awesome job with that strategy, so keep up the good work. So again, I like to provide that feedback to students and give them an alternative to the suggestion or the strategy that they gave me. And as you can see, a lot of these students were using pen and paper. They were drawing manipulatives. The last video, that student is very familiar with the strategy. So she was able to really just teach it off the top of her head to her younger sister. So it also requires parents to really get involved as well. So for this particular activity, it was a new activity that we just introduced since we've been in our virtual learning, and students were tasked with watching the video, the doorbell rang. And this activity is the introduction to partitioning. And I found it very interesting how it ties into fractions and divisions that students will learn, third and fourth, and even multiplication in third and fourth and fifth grade. So it is definitely setting the foundation for the young students to really prepare themselves for upper grade activities. And so again, easy access. Students just go to the lesson plan in Google Classroom. Here you see the link and FlipGrid. They put in the password and then they go and get ready to film.
Hey, I'm going to be divide 12. If I have 12 cookies and wanted to share with my mom, me, and sister, we will get 4 apiece because 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. If I have 12 cookies and wanted to share with my mom and we will have 6 apiece because 6 plus 6 equals 12.
All right, so with the teacher feedback that I provided for this student, this is where I incorporated the parent. That was such an excellent example of partitioning, and I liked how the student even knew, or after we had our lesson on partitioning, I do recall using the word divide, but I never used it explicitly. So it was very interesting to see that the student used that type of verbiage in his video. So again, these FlipGrid videos allow students to really take on their own persona when they're presenting it. It's almost as though they're presenting it back to me as though they were the teacher. And they use the language of the standards or the verbiage that sometimes often is clearly unexpected. And so with that teacher feedback that I provided with this student, just like this video that's coming up, I provided with the student and the parent in a private Google Meet video. And in that video, I definitely encourage the parent to continue to participate, to continue to video record. I liked how the student had manipulatives. He cut out the cookie cutters to really show you and demonstrate his understanding of how I divide or how I partition these cookies.
Now I'm going to show you how to add 2 plus 12. First, you're supposed to add 0 plus 2. That equals 2. Then you're supposed to add 1 plus 1. That equals 2. Another way to add 10 plus 12 is doing circles. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to add 12 more circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I'm going to count the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
So again, that feedback that was provided to the student and the parent, I was very impressed that they were able to show me 2 different strategies. And he was very explicit in his instruction. And so it definitely was a reflection of what he had learned from me in our classroom and during our virtual learning. So I made sure that, again, I encourage the parents to participate in the FlipGrid videos. Oftentimes there needs to be someone to record. So while the parent is recording, they are providing feedback to their own student as they are recording. So I've shared with you guys how I use FlipGrid in math. I've also used it in other content areas, or it can be used in other content areas. You can use it for science, social studies, reading, and health. I have used it actually in reading. Students have had to read their sight words on cards and record that on the FlipGrid, and then I go back and review it, and whether or not I use that information to determine whether or not this student needs more help on their spelling words, or they need more help on their vocabulary or sight words, or this student may be struggling with long O or long A sounds. So that helps me, that gives me an informal assessment on whether or not this student is ready to move on to the next set of sight words. It's been used in health. Oftentimes I use Go Noodle in my classroom, or we discuss health concerns or just general health practices, and I'll allow students to use the FlipGrid to talk amongst their neighbors and talk amongst themselves ways that they can remain healthy. And in this present day and age with this pandemic, this will be an excellent opportunity for you to use the FlipGrid to have your students share health tips with you and with their siblings or with the class. So how I've used FlipGrid before. Again, I have not used FlipGrid all year. This is recent, very, very recent for me. So I've used it before once in the classroom. However, the majority of the time I've used it has been now in our digital virtual learning spaces. So as you can see, the most recent videos, how to solve an equation. First grade math is a platform for the whole entire first grade, and that's where they typically will post their videos on the doorbell ring. The sight words, students have went in there and read their sight words. The class discussion was an introduction to FlipGrid for everyone. It was a how are you doing today? That was posted the week after we started virtual learning. So I wanted to kind of gauge everybody's, feelings and use those social and emotional connections to see where everybody was at that time. So I use that platform. I use FlipGrid for that platform as well. So it can be used for a variety of different methods. So the benefits to using FlipGrid, especially with the primary grade students today, is introduces them to a digital resource that they will use in upper grades. I know there are teachers at Edmonds now who, especially I want to say there are third grade teachers who use FlipGrid in their informal assessments and their closing and reviews. So I want to get them prepared to use it so that upper class teachers aren't having to reteach how to use certain digital resources. It also allows those shy students to express themselves. The shy students that typically don't say much in whole group activities. So this allows the teacher to see what they have mastered. It allows teachers to hone in on students' verbiage and mastery of the standard or task. It is also a quick informal assessment. It can provide immediate feedback. You can provide it via FlipGrid, or you can provide it just one-on-one with that student, but you're able to see have they mastered that standard or that task, and you can give them immediate feedback. It allows students to choose how they want to present their understanding. They use whatever props or language that they want. As you saw in my videos, some students use pencil and paper. They drew manipulatives. They drew apples. They cut out cookies. They cut out manipulatives. They use pencil and paper. They use what they had. And so it allows them to be creative in their responses. Any questions?
And so, again, I just want to thank Ms. Thurmond. If you have any questions, if you will just put them in the comment box right now. Again, the thing that when she showed me her videos, I was just blown away by was the fact that students answered questions in so many different ways. One kid is teaching her sister the concept. Another kid is drawing pictures or cutting out cookies, while another student is using chalk. And that's really what we want to see. We want to start giving these students the ability to use their own creativity to solve answers their own way. And I mean, the fact that she's doing this virtually, not even there in the classroom, speaks so much to what she did in the classroom. Not only that, to what she's doing now, still getting the parents involved and things like that. Any questions that you have for Ms. Thurmond? Okay, so there is a link in the description, the bit.ly PLCDR. If you are wanting to get on FlipGrid, we have videos on how to set up your FlipGrid classroom. So if you are wanting to start putting in your classroom, we have videos to show you how to do that. We also make sure that you follow us on CCPS ProfLearn. I'm going to put it in here. We are on Instagram and on Facebook, Twitter, ProfLearn. Talking and typing is not what I'm good at. All right, there you go. CCPS ProfLearn. Make sure you follow us on the socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'd love for you to be able to follow us. We're always doing this every single Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Again, let's just give it up for Ms. Thurmond. Thank you so much, Ms. Thurmond. I appreciate all that you do. And we will put this video up on the socials and up on our website. So if you know somebody that needs help with FlipGrid and wants some ideas, then this is exactly what I have. Yes, and let me, Ms. Thurmond is teacher_mood on Instagram, and it is great as well. All right, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being part of our Teacher Tech Talk Tuesday.
For news about Clayton County Professional Learning Center, please follow us at CCPS ProfLearn on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.